So hello everyone, my name is Lynn Molloy and I'm the Executive Director of ALSPAC, also Children of the 90s, and I should just mention that actually because I noticed earlier on that we said ALSPAC and I just wanted to clarify that actually they're the same thing. Children of the 90s is the name that you're probably familiar with, but oftentimes people that work in the study refer to it as ALSPAC, so forgive us if we slip in between those two names. It is absolutely the same thing. So, as Ross has already mentioned, George was going to be giving this talk today, but unfortunately he's not able to be here this morning, although he will definitely be here this afternoon. So I'm giving the talk in his place. So George, myself, and a number of other senior colleagues in the study took over when Jean retired in 2006, and this is a photo of the people who now run Children of the 90s. So Jean has talked already about sort of the beginnings of the study and what happened in the early years of the study. So what I'm going to do in my talk today is focus on the present and also talk a little bit about the future of the study, because I'm sure there's an awful lot of interest in where we go forward with this study from now on. I'll describe what Children of the 90s looks like in 2012. I'll highlight some of the key research findings. I'll talk about the huge contribution that have been made by our participants, which of course is all of you. And then I'll end with a few words about the future of the study. So, what does Children of the 90s look like in 2012? Well, over the last 21 years, we've received £42 million worth of funding to collect a huge amount of information on practically every aspect of your lives. This slide is quite a difficult slide to see, but it's a really good one because it looks at the kind of breadth of the information that we've collected on you over the last 21 years. This is on our website, so if you're interested, then it's a really good slide diagram to look at because it really covers the whole of Children of the 90s. And for those of you with really, really good eyesight, you might recognise some of the questions that we've asked you over the last 21 years. So, for example, whether you were happy in school, or the all-time favourite question is whether you've ever heard voices that other people can't hear. We know that's a popular one. This also shows the biological samples that we've collected over the years, and many of you will remember donating your urine or hair sample or blood samples over the years as well. So this slide demonstrates the sheer scale of what we've collected. So you'll see that we've collected DNA from 11,000 children and 10,000 mothers. We've got in excess of 1.2 million biological samples stored, which includes 112,000 toenails. You've answered over 500 million questions over the last 21 years. We've published over 700 academic papers, and we have around 700 scientists working on the data that you've given us throughout the world, which looks a little bit like this. I couldn't resist putting this slide in because I love it. It's actually a couple of years out of date now, so we really must update it, but I think it's a really neat slide because it just really sums up the sheer scale of the data that we've got in the study. So, in Children of the 90s, we've collected data in every possible conceivable area covering all aspects of your lives. And this slide is a very busy slide, I'm sorry about this, but what this shows is the different research areas that we're working in. So you can see there's a massive number of different research areas that we're interested in. So it covers anything from ADHD and addiction all the way through to suicide and vision. It's a very large, wide area. So what else is happening in Children of the 90s in 2012? Well, increasingly genetics is becoming more and more important to the study. We've sequenced the genomes of 2,000 of the original children, and we're starting to analyse this now. researchers throughout the world are increasingly getting really excited and interested in the epigenome, which you can see is defined here as the catalogue of chemical footprints left on a child's DNA by experiences in the womb or in the world. And Children of the 90s is at the forefront of this pioneering work, and we definitely will continue to work in this area. So this genetic research will help to show us how the environment can affect how genes are controlled and therefore affect the body. So what else is happening in Children of the 90s? Well, we're still actively collecting new data from the original children through questionnaires and through study visits. We're also collecting information on the fathers and the mothers and the fathers, and also the children of the children, and I'll come back to that in a moment. We're also just about to start recruiting siblings as well, which is new for us. We've not done that before. So all in all, in summary then, Children of the 90s is definitely recognised as one of the world's leading birth cohort studies, and there's no doubt that it's inspired and guided other birth cohorts, including the world's largest birth cohort, which is collecting information on over 100,000 children in Norway. We're also very involved in advising and helping with a new birth cohort study, which is starting in the UK next year. So I've talked in the previous slide about the fact that we're now collecting a whole new generation, that is the children of the children, which we called Coco 90s, which we love the name, we think that's a really cute name. This is a hugely exciting development for us, and we're really, really excited about it, particularly for the members of staff who have worked in the study for 21 years and who started out researching babies and toddlers, and it feels like the study is coming round full circle again. So they're hugely excited about it, and it's absolutely fantastic to hear the sounds of babies and children in the clinic again after so many years. So we know there's about 108 children who have been born or about to be born. Those are the ones that we just know about. Almost certainly there will be an awful lot more than that out there that we're just not yet aware of. And we're intending to try and recruit as many of those children into the study as we possibly can. We started data collection in July this year, and so far we've seen 30 babies or toddlers already. And again, this is quite a busy slide, so apologies for this. I haven't really got time to go into this in detail, but what this is showing is the intensive data collection for the first 5 years of the baby's life, in both the baby themselves, but also in the mother and the father as well. So this is what we're intending to do over that 5-year period. Almost certainly we will be following them up beyond that as well, but at the moment we're just very focused on those first 5 years. So some of you, again, the eagle-eyed people amongst the audience might recognise some of this, particularly the mothers, because we're repeating a lot of what we did with your children as well. So now I'd like to move on to the outputs of the study. So this is the publications that come out of Children of the 90s. So I mentioned earlier on that we have over 700 academic papers that have come out of Children of the 90s over the last 21 years. This slide is showing the rate of publication since 2006. And as you can see, there's a steady rate of increase, which really reflects the fact that the study is progressing and more researchers are interested in using our data. So that's fantastic. We're very, very pleased that more and more publications are coming out of the study. The bottom line here, at the bottom here in dark purple, hopefully you can see that, shows the publications where we have either George Davies Smith or Jean Golding as a co-author on the publication. And as you can see, that's actually very low, which is good. That's what we want, because what this is showing is that the vast majority of publications are coming out outside of the study, which actually means that your data is being used by a very, very wide number of people throughout the world. And that's one of the things that actually is really important that we demonstrate with a study like this. So this is really, really good news for us, and we're very pleased about that. Jean's already highlighted a number of areas where we've had a major impact on public health policy. So I'd just like to go back and just remind you of the three most important areas where we have had an impact in public health. So firstly, we help cement advice that babies should be put to sleep on their backs to reduce the risk of cot death. Secondly, we showed, as Jean's already mentioned, that eating oily fish during pregnancy was associated with better eye and cognitive development in children. And thirdly, we were the first research group to show an association between peanut allergy and peanut oil in baby lotions. So as you can imagine, there's been a huge number of different research findings that have come out of children of the 90s. I've just highlighted a few of the more recent ones and the ones that got quite a lot of publicity. So just to remind you then, we showed that just 15 minutes of exercise a day could reduce childhood obesity rates by 50%. We were the first group to discover FTO, the first gene associated with being overweight. We showed that fathers suffer from postnatal depression, that children of mothers who took paracetamol in later pregnancy were prone to asthma, that children of parents who encourage them to talk, read and play early on do better at school, that packed lunches are no better than school dinners, that breastfeeding is linked to higher IQ. Now, you've probably read about some of these. I'm sure some of these findings are quite familiar to you, and you've read about them in the newspapers because they did get quite a lot of publicity. But what you may not have realised is that this has come from Children of the 90s data, so this has come from you. Okay, so that's very important. For those of you who are interested, we list all of our publications on our website, and please do go and have a look and find out some of the other publications that we've produced as well. So I couldn't possibly do this talk without mentioning you, the participants, because without your commitment and dedication to this study, there wouldn't be a study. None of this would be possible. So you are the most important part of Children of the 90s, without any doubt whatsoever. Over the last 21 years, we've asked you to do an awful lot. Some of you will remember having some of these tests done, probably the blood test, but some other things as well. And you may have also felt like you were drowning in questionnaires from time to time too. So to sum up then, this is a quote, and I think it's quite a long quote, but I think it's a really powerful quote by Sir Mark Walport, who's the director of the Wellcome Trust, and Sir James Saville, who is the head of the Medical Research Council, who are our main funders. And I'd just like to read this quote out because I think it's a really important one. So Children of the 90s could not have succeeded without the passion and dedication of researchers, clinicians, midwives, volunteers, and of course, the thousands of mothers who agreed to take part and their children who continue to contribute to the data. It is a hugely impressive effort and owes much to the enthusiasm that the project seems to generate in everyone who comes into contact with it. To you, that's you, we add our personal thanks. It's a huge gift that you are providing. So much has already been learned from the study, and we know that there is more to come. The long-term benefits derived from Children of the 90s will help to improve people's health in the Bristol area, across the UK, and throughout the world. So we want this study to continue, and the only way that that's going to happen is to get as many people involved with the study as possible. So I'd just like to spend a couple of minutes talking about what we're doing to try and keep you interested and engaged with the study. So we've improved the way that we communicate with you through the use of new media. So for example, blogs, short films and podcasts about the study. We have a very active Facebook page, and increasingly we're communicating study findings through Twitter. We have 3 participant advisory groups, and these groups comment and advise on the study. We have 3 participant members of our ethics committee. Increasingly, we're going to be running more events like this. And also, we're in the process of just writing a book at the moment, and you'll all receive a copy of this at the end of the year, which is a celebration of the last 21 years of the study. So please, please, please stay involved and also talk to other people about the importance of the study, because we really do need as many of you to stay involved as possible. Okay, my last couple of slides are about the future of the study. So there's no doubt about it that Children of the 90s is not just any cohort study. This study has a rich collection of data and samples which makes it unique and invaluable. This is a lifelong study. Jean has already mentioned that we want to continue for as long as we possibly can, and we want to continue studying you for as long as you'll let us. After all, for many of you, most of your life is ahead, and we want to follow you as you go through your adult life. We're going to be doing some more data collection clinics. We're planning a focus clinic at age 24-25, and we're going to be moving towards annual questionnaires in the future. We're planning more focus clinics for the mothers and the fathers, and we're expanding the study to include the siblings and children of the children, as I've already mentioned. There'll be more online data collection, and increasingly we're going to communicate with you through electronic communication. We're looking at the possibility of less intrusive data collection via, for example, smartphone apps. So it's entirely feasible over the next few years that we'll be able to collect information from you on things like hearing, vision, IQ, mood, activity and diet, and other things as well. But just to say that we still will be running focus clinics because there are certain things that actually we need you there for, and we can't collect through things like smartphone apps. So the plan is that we will definitely continue to invite you to focus clinics as well. I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to talk about this particularly, but just to say we're having a conversation within our participant advisory groups about the use of new technologies and whether we think this is something that participants would be interested in. So I think it's an ongoing conversation, and I think it's quite likely in the future that we will be using new technologies in a different way. Genetic research will continue to be very important within Children of the 90s. So far, we've only been able to study very small parts of the genome, but in the future, we'll be able to study this in much, much more detail and see how this affects health and development. We'll continue to work on the Human Epigenome Project, and over the next 5 to 10 years, we expect that this project will be able to accurately predict disease and target treatments and develop new medicines. So in summary then, it's a massive, big thank you to everybody who works at Children of the 90s for the incredible commitment and dedication that you've shown to the study. It's through that dedication and commitment that you've made this a world-leading study that really is unparalleled within this field. So with your help, and we need your help to do this, Children of the 90s will continue to flourish and will be able to answer those big science questions in the next 21 years, but also beyond that as well. So I'd just like to end by saying thank you all for coming. It's great to see so many of you here. And I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. So thank you very much.